to my channel. It's Trucking with Hands Down. Thanks for tuning in. This is my first video. The reason why I started wanting to make content was, one, I had time. It's the holiday. It's during the holidays. You know, Christmas, New Year's. I had some unforeseen issues with my truck. But we'll talk about that. So I basically had time. So, you know, what this channel is going to be all about is just going to be about my experience with trucking, some of the people that I follow, a lot of advice that I have taken into becoming a trucker, things of that nature. And we're just going to talk about my background a little bit. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, but right now, I reside in the Metroplex of Dallas, Texas. Yep, home of the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? And definitely a Lakers fan, as you see, representing the Black Mamba, as you see. Shout out to my mom for making this hoodie for me for Christmas. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mom. Now my wife, she's coming in here, you know, all laughing and stuff, and she think I'm crazy for making, you know what I'm saying, making this channel. You know, but, you know, you come on in, baby, you know, let everybody know who you are real quick. She's like, nah, she ain't gonna get on the camera. So right now she's filming. I'm not live. I'm just recording. What you gonna do? Just sit back there and look at me the whole time? Yeah. If I was you, I would look at me the whole time too. Oh, Lord, have mercy. But yeah, like I said, I had a little time to make some content, you know, for myself and about my trucking career. So again, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, but I currently reside in the Dallas Metroplex area. Been in trucking for about 4 years now. I got started in trucking in August of 2016, and how I got introduced to it. I needed a job. Basically, I needed a job. So what happened was I didn't have a license at the time, a driver's license. Yeah, I was riding around bogus. I didn't have a driver's license, but then when I became eligible to get my license, what I did, a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, he told me to get my Class E license that this job at a waste company was hiring. And they were hiring for these little small compact trucks, what they would call valet trucks. And at that time, in the bougie part of St. Louis, I think it was like Town and Country and Ladue area, what you would do is you would bag down people's driveways and pick up their trash from their garage, or, you know, in front of their garage, or wherever they had their trash cans at. So he was telling me about the job. So when I got the job, there was no openings, but there was openings for helpers. And that's the guys that jump out the back of the rear loaders, you know, and dump the trash, you know what I'm saying, in the rear loader. So I started off there, had my Class C, and just so happened the guy that I was riding with, his name was Tony. Shout out to Tony as well. I don't know where that guy's at now, but shout out to him. He was like, man, you interested in driving? I'm like, yeah. This was at a Class B. I didn't know about a CDL. Well, I kind of knew, but I didn't know. I thought a CDL was strictly like the tractor trailer work that you know what I'm saying, that I do now. So he was like, nah, man, what you need to do is you need to go get your Class B CDL permit. And when you do that, then while you ride with me, you'll be able to, you know, drive some of the route. So I was like, okay, cool. So I studied, you know, the app. I studied at that time, I think CDL Prep was out at that time, but I'm not exactly sure. But it was DMV Genie. That's what I had did. No, the first thing I did was I had got the book from the DMV. And then I learned about the app DMV Genie. So I studied over the test, and then I went and took the test to get my learner's permit, and got my learner's permit. About a week, you know what I'm saying, after about a week later, that Tony had told me about it. And then what I did was I told him, I said, Tony, I got the permit. He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I said, I'm ready to drive. You gonna teach me how to drive? So we're in this, you know, at that time we was riding, the route that we had was in Lake St. Louis, and Wellston and some other parts of, St. Louis. So he would let me drive in the Wellston area, and for people that's from St. Louis know Wellston is not the most favorable part of town, but I drove through there, and the one that, I could drive straight, but I couldn't back up well. So, because I didn't know, I'm like, I can't see behind me, but I could. I just didn't know how to use my mirrors. So he showed me how to back up and everything like that. And, things was cool. But then I had an opportunity for one of the valet trucks, like I was telling you, that was in town and country, came open. So I started driving a little valet truck, but still had my learner's permit. So what I didn't know, a couple of guys was telling me that a couple of guys that drive the rear loader trucks and other trucks, like, hey man, it's a class that you can take privately that the company will pay for. I think it was like, at that time, it was like $700. And this private lady, she'll teach you how to do your pre-trip and everything on the Class B truck, back up, park it, all the things that you're supposed to do to pass the test. So I was like, all right, cool. So I got the company to, pay for it up front or whatever, and then I paid them back in payments over a period of time. So boom. So then another route came open. So I moved from the valet truck to the big rear loader. So that moved me from driving like in the Ladue, town and country area, and I end up going out to I forgot the name of the area, and it wasn't Lake St. Louis, but anyhow, it was yard waste. So we're doing a yard waste, and then sometimes I had to go help with trash or whatever. So one day it was raining. And I didn't know how to slow the truck down because it was an automatic. And we had just got done with the route and everything, and I wasn't paying, that close of attention, and I couldn't slow the truck down. It was raining. I ended up sliding into a back of a truck. Well, I didn't slide into the back of the car. The truck ended up sliding into like side swiping the car. So after that, I got let go. But immediately after that, I applied for a job for a dump truck job, and I got that job. But the problem with that job was I didn't know how to drive the manual. So luckily enough, and they had like 3 Western Star dump trucks and then like 2 Sterling dump trucks. So luckily enough, they had one of the Sterling trucks that was available, so I ended up driving that. So I was on this job for about 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. You know what I'm saying? It was about a month, maybe. And one day I was dumping at a landfill, and the tailgate was stuck. When you stop for the dump truck, you got to stop, make sure that you're on level ground, unlatch the tailgate, lift up, hit the PTO and everything, and they'll lift up. Well, as it was lifting up, I didn't know the tailgate was stuck. I just started hearing this, and the back bed flipped over and, flipped me, luckily, and I was cocked ace deuce up in the air. So luckily, I got out of that safe. They took me for a piss test and everything. And, I wasn't on no drugs or nothing like that. It was just faulty equipment or whatever the case may be. So I got let go of there, naturally, because it wasn't, it wasn't no equipment driving, And at that time, this was like 2000. So I started with the waste company August 2016. So like a whole year went by. This was like the summer, like June, like the end of June 2017. So I was like, you know what? I had talked to, a couple of people and everything, talked to my family. They was here in Texas. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pack it up and move it out straight down to Texas. And I packed whatever I could in my truck, man, my pickup truck, and, I came on down to Texas. Now, mind you, I still had my, my barber license. And like immediately after I had got my Class B CDL, I had went back and got my Class A CDL permit because, you know, I was looking for opportunity to uh, drive tractor trailers over the road because it was a lot of little, you know, nuances that was going on in my life at that time. I was just like, you know what, um, you know, I'm gonna start driving over the road. So fast forward, moved down to Texas, still had my borrower's license, and I couldn't get into none of the mega carrier schools or, you know, their companies because at that time I still had a felony and a misdemeanor on me, so they wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't let me get in because of my background. And I didn't know about no other smaller companies or, you know what I'm saying, nothing like, you know what I'm saying, I'm new to this CDL game. So I went back to barbering, you know, and I was cutting for about a year and a half approximately until, you know, one, you know, and things was going, you know, things was going good. You know, I got down here, worked in the shop, was making about $1,000, $1,200 a week. I bought, you know, a new car and, you know, wasn't even looking for a girlfriend at the time. Ended up meeting my wife, and that's another whole another story that we'll talk about.
The best part.
No, no. You hear it in the background, but so what happened was, you know, one day I had moved shops and was in a little small private salon suite, and it's a little bit different, you know, when you independent like that versus a shop. You know, the shop flow, you know, people just coming into the shop and you know, who's next, and you know, in the little suites, you know, it's all about appointments and who you can drum up to come in. So things got a little shaky for me and everything. And it was, you know, I wasn't no bad barber or nothing like that, but it was just different down here from, you know, versus from where I was from. So a guy that I knew had acquaintance with back in St. Louis. He lived down here, and he was telling me like, yeah, man, you can start driving. You still got your CDL? I was like, yeah, I still got my CDL. He was like, man, I can get you on with, you know, with my Ready Mix company. I'm like, Ready Mix? What's that? He said, the concrete company. I was like, yeah. I was like, what y'all do? He's like, man, we work a lot. We do about 70 hours a week, you know. So I was like, okay. So I had got my resume together, put it on Indeed, and I started applying. And this one company, one small company, they gave me a call back. Drinking a little whiskey, man, just, you know, laying back. You know, as I tell my story, hope y'all don't mind, you know, real quick. So the small ready-mix company called me back, asked me, you know, was I interested? What type of hours was I looking to work? You know, what type of background? You know, the whole spiel. So I go in, do a ride along, and I'm like, okay, I can get with it. So boom, start driving you know, the ready-mix truck. Well, I started training with this Mexican guy named Jesus. And the first thing that the owner had talked to me about, and the supervisor, he was like, hey, do you know how to drive a manual truck? And I'm just like, no. I said, I have an idea. Is it kind of like driving the stick of the car? He's like, not quite. It's kind of, but you know, it's all about, you don't use the clutch. It's all about floating gears. And I'm like, floating gears? What's that? You know, I didn't know, you know. So he was like, don't worry about it. We got an automatic truck that you could drive because, you know, you got the automatic restriction, but we can teach you how to drive a manual. And then what you do is we just set it up with the, you know, with the DPS, with DMV, you know, down here it's called Department of Public Safety for Texas. So they was like, yeah, so after we show you, once you feel comfortable, we set up a test so you can set yourself up with a test so you can go get that restriction off and then you can drive one of our other trucks. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I, boom, I get into the ready mix truck, man, and I'm driving. And now the thing about the ready mix truck is it's not like driving a normal truck. Like, you got the tanker trucks and things of that nature. They got liquid all in and it's moving around. With the ready mix truck, as you're moving, that drum is turning clockwise. So you got to be like real careful on how you drive it. Watch your speed of the drum, because you got 10 yards of concrete in the back of the thing, and it's a hole back there. So the only thing that's keeping the concrete in the drum is about how fast the drum is moving. So you're thinking that you're driving this truck straight and it's spinning at the same time, and you're dealing with the elements, the wind and things of that nature. So that really tests your nuts, and your driving skills, because and people cutting you off and all that. So that's when I really start having a passion for trucking, and learning and developing a skill for trucking. So I did it. So I started that. So 2017. So that started about I want to say, so about that time I was here in Texas for a while. So I want to say, so it was this 2020. So that started in June of 2019. That's when I started with the Ready Mix Company. But then I started noticing just their attitude and everything, towards the drivers, especially the black drivers. And I hate to say have the race car put in there, but it is what it is. It was what it was. It just, I've always been independent. I've always tried to be in control of as much of what I could be in control. And I kind of didn't like how they, treated us, treated the drivers, period. And they showed favoritism, then they had some quote unquote lead drivers that, felt like that it was their company and they could tell people whatever it is that they want to tell them. And, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Let's just put it that way. Clocking in and all that was easy. That part was all that's easy for me. That's not a problem. But just how you treat me with respect, that's what I'm big on. So I started looking for other avenues out. And then one day I was on a job and I was pouring grout. I was pouring grout for a company called Walco that build retainer walls for new subdivisions. And a buddy of mine, I'm still talking to him, that has been coaching me for, my whole trucking career. I was just, talking to him, and he was putting me up on game on different types of trucks and this, that, and that. And at that time, I had no idea. I thought at that time, Freightliner was the best truck. But I started discovering Kenworths, Peterbilts, Internationals, And one day, this middle-aged man, he didn't look no older than 40 years old, pull up on us at this Walco job that I'm telling you about, that I was pouring grout for. And he pulled up in his truck and he got out. And I remember this. He had on a polo type hat, a trucker hat. He had on a polo type shirt, some cargo shorts, and some tennis shoes. And he pulled up in his end up. It was a clean Peterbilt 379 with a small sleeper on it. And he pulled up and he got out and he pulled the PTO. Well, the PTO was in his truck, but I guess he pulled the tailgate for his end dump. Got back in his truck, pulled the PTO, and the thing rose up. And you know, if you know anything about the end dump, as the bed is lifting up, the truck is coming towards, you know, the bed. So because it's frameless, so it's going like this, boom, and the rocks pulled out. Then he pulled forward, got the rest of the rocks out, got back in this truck, lit the bed down, did whatever he needed to do in the back, gave the people their ticket, they signed it, and he pulled off. And from that point, like I was hooked, like I want to do that. I want to do exactly what he did. And not so much of the job, but how relaxed that he looked, how comfortable he looked, how so much in charge that he looked. Like it was just something that he was doing for the day, making money. So at that time, that gave me that gave me the motivation to want to go ahead and pursue my Class A license again. So, you know, by that time, my Missouri, by all this time, my Missouri Class A CDL permit had expired. So I knew exactly, the process of getting my permit again. And I downloaded that app, that DMV Genie app again. And by me having my CDL already, I just needed to take the combination part, the combination test, which is like 25 questions. So I studied that, got my permit again, and I said, this was like September 2019, right before my birthday, something like that. And I said, I'm gonna get my Class A. I'm gonna change the game for me and my family, and I'm gonna get my Class A before the end of the year. And my wife, she wasn't my wife at that time, but my wife was like, and then what you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna go on for the road, and we're gonna change the game. We're gonna be making, as my man Chaser Andrew Jackson, shout out to him too. I follow him a lot, and I learned a lot from him. But we're gonna be making all types of money. And she was like, over the road? No. So, nevertheless, so we coming up on Thanksgiving. I still hadn't got my license yet, or I had scheduled a date, because I was like, man, all I need to do is learn how to back up and everything like that. So with that, I found a few private people that were willing to train me, or at least, I'm not gonna say train, but show me how to pass the test, more so the less, because that's what you're doing. Is basically you're just learning how to pass the test. You're not learning how to truck. You're just learning how to maneuver enough to pass the test. So I went with one guy, and he didn't have any patience. Like the first day, I didn't know how to back up, and he was like, you need to find somebody with a truck that can teach you how to back up, then you come back. So I was like, all right. So it was one in particular guy that I was following, and he did individual classes. It fell into the schedule because with Ready Mix, you're working all the time. And your schedule is like all over the place. There's no set schedule. So with that, he didn't offer no Sunday classes at that particular time. And then one time I ended up catching him. He showed me how to do some bag. I think I paid a couple of $100 just for one day. And so it was like Thanksgiving 2019, and a close friend of mine, I call her my sister, she had an opportunity to hop on to Amazon with the box trucks. So she was like, brother, we in there, we can do it. I need a driver. So I was like, bet. So I quit my job at the ready mix place. My wife she wasn't too happy about that, but she was like, So I left from there, started working with my sister at Amazon, driving her box truck. And then in the daytime, I ended up hooking up with the black guy. Shout out to Corey Clemens and Truck God CDL. Make sure y'all go follow his channel and look him up. Follow him on Instagram. Great guy, great training course for if you want to streamline your chances of passing your Class A CDL or Class B. I'm telling you, get with Corey, with Truck God CDL. He helped me out tremendously. So I ended up getting with Corey during the daytime. So I would run Amazon at night, get off my route from Amazon, drive the box truck all the way out to Arlington. Arlington, Grand Prairie, in Grand Prairie area, out by Six Flags. And now, mind you, I stay in the north part of Dallas, like near Sherman, Melissa area. So I'm driving, and I'm coming from that area. So I'm coming from that area, going all the way to Six Flags in Grand Prairie, staying there all day, and then coming back home, going to sleep, and then going to Amazon. So I did this, man, for like a month and a half, I want to say. And boom, January 30th of 2020, I get my Class A CDL. Now the first, I didn't pass it the first time. So let me go back. So I took my first test January 29th, and I failed it. And I failed it by like a few inches on the parallel part. I went all the way in the cone. And because I was rushed, I was running out of time. The examiner, it was just some time confliction going on. But Corey ended up getting me another date that following morning. We ended up bumping somebody that he had scheduled to take a test. And I passed it the second time. No issues. I did I did my pre-trip, my air brakes right. I did all my maneuvers and everything, and did my road test right. In January 30th, 2020, I got my Class A CDL. So, and I had a job lined up with an owner-operator that was willing to give me the opportunity, which was the opportunity of a lifetime, because most people, when they get their Class A CDL, they end up going to a mega carrier like Swift, Knight, CRST, CR England. It's a plethora of mega carrier, Prime. It's a plethora of mega carriers that they go out there to rail. And I bypassed all that BS, as I see on, on the social medias and different groups like that, of what these guys go through. One of the main thing is the restricted trucks that can only go like 62, 65 miles per hour. They don't know when their home time is going to be, or they get sucked into being, they make you think that you're going to be quote unquote an owner operator because they're giving you a brand new truck, and you're paying so many, X amount of dollars per week for the truck, and then at the end you can own the truck if you pay a balloon payment, and all that stuff. I end up avoiding all that type of what I feel is nonsense, and signing on. I didn't have to sign a contract, but a close friend, I consider him a very close friend, gave me an opportunity of a lifetime and gave me the keys to one of his trucks. He owned 5 of them, gave me the keys to one of his trucks and allowed me to start my trucking career. So I was very blessed for that. But going into that, he knew and I knew that my aspiration was being an owner operator. And that's another whole nother journey in itself that I'm getting ready to get started on now. Within the first year, of my trucking career, which I'm not gonna say is unheard of, but unlikely. It's a lot of people that go in, and it take them years to become an operator. But I did mine within the first year of me obtaining my Class A CDL, and that's what this channel is about. It's about my journey, my ups and downs, my mistakes that I made, during my journey. But the journey wasn't always smooth, but it wasn't always rough. So, like I said, I had plenty of time doing this is my first chance to be able to sit down, relax, and tell my story. And I felt like it was more compelling to tell my story after a year of trucking, because a lot of people get in, and when they first get started with their training and things of that nature, and I seen all that, I was like, I kind of didn't want to do that. But now that I'm going, I can, now you know my backstory. Now you're going to know my story moving forward. I still got to talk about, my first year, my ups and downs, my woes, and this and that and the third. But that's going to be coming. So please, 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 like and subscribe to my channel. So when there's new content that's going to be coming up, you'll be the first to know, and you'll be the first to see. And make sure that you follow me on Instagram. It's Trucking with Hands Down. It's TruckinWithHandsDown. So follow me on Instagram, and it's your boy Hands Down the Trucker. You can follow me. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Until next time, be safe out there. Peace.